Well, hello everybody, it's Dan, your friendly fishmonger from dansfish.com. And today we're going to take you around, do a whole tour, show you all the new fish we got. We have a ton of really cool stuff. And instead of starting here at the show tank like we usually do, we're going to go upstairs and I'm going to start with some amazing gobies. We'll get back to this aquarium a little bit later. So let's go look at some gobies. Okay, we're going to start with these absolute beauties. These are Stiphodon rudularius is the name of them. Just check out how pretty these guys are. Absolutely amazing, beautiful algae-eating goby. They do great eating biofilm, algae, things like that. So I wouldn't put them in anything that isn't well established, but if you have a well-established aquarium, they're peaceful, they're lively, and they are so absolutely just stunning. Let's look at them from a little further away here so you can get the gist. And in here as well, if I can find them, they're usually buried in the sand. There's one. This little striped guy right there. Those little guys, those are tiger gobies. Now, admittedly, there's a lot of different gobies with the common name tiger goby. These are a sand-dwelling tiger goby. They burrow in the sand with their little heads poking up, and then when you put food in, they come out of the sand like a tremor, the big old sandworms, and gulf it down. Neat little fish. So here's what we were looking at there. Stiphodon rudularius are the real colorful ones, and then the ones above that are the tiger goby, just because there's so many different fish called tiger goby. I thought it'd be useful to see the scientific name. Another one I'm very excited about is this. This is Stiphodon anniae, one of the most in-demand, beautiful little gobies ever. Really, really pretty. I've got a little mystery going on in this tank though. I had 15 of these, and I listed them for sale, and a couple days ago there was 15 in here, and today I only counted 5, and I don't have a clue because I have not taken them any of them out of the aquarium. There's no bodies, none of them have died. There's no fish chips on the floor. They haven't, like, crawled out of the tank and dried up. The only thing I can think of, and what I hope happened, is they went down inside the sponge filter here. So after the video's done, I'm going to open this thing up and hope they're in there. Otherwise, I'm in a bit of trouble because a lot of folks have ordered these, and I've only got 5 left, and I honestly don't have a clue. I don't know where they could have done. They didn't die, and as far as I can tell, they didn't get out. So, I don't know. I'll have to figure that one out. Next up, oh, and for those that want to see, here's the scientific name. Stiphodon anniae. The next one, here's the scientific name of the next one. Sicyopus cebuensis. And these are awesome. They're not even colored up at all right now, and they're already cool. They have nice elongated dorsal fin. They're very lively, fun little fish, and when they color up, they get brilliant red, like just really stunning, brilliant red. So even here though, not colored up, they're still fun, and they're still kind of colorful. I mean, they got something going on, right? They're not complete duds. The nice thing about gobies though is, even if all you have is a brown fish, usually they're still cool because they're so active and personable and fun to watch. Anyway, Sicyopus cebuensis is that one. Over here is, I think it's Stiphodon or maybe it's sequensis. I'd have to look. It's Discordipinus is the name of this fish. Now I'm having a little trouble with these. I've lost a few, so they're not listed for sale right now. I'm hoping they recover because look how pretty they are. And if they recover, I'll list them for sale. But right now they're not for sale. I just thought they were so cool that I wanted to show them to you. So there you go. Discordipinus is the species name on these. Now, there are a couple more cool gobies, one row over, so let's head over there, and then we'll get to the rest of the fish. Just doing things in a little bit of a different order than usual. Okay, here's one. This is the scientific name here, Sicyopterus macrotheltholepis. Macrotheltholepis, something like that. Well, you get the point. They're much bigger. These guys are about 2 inches in size, I would say. And if I'm still enough, right now they're freaked by the camera, I can tell because they're kind of just hovering over. If I'm still enough, maybe they'll come out and we'll actually see their finnage, because when they spread their finnage, it's actually pretty darn cool. But yeah, this camera has them absolutely freaked out. So I don't think we're gonna see it right now. Anyway, another algae-eating gobies. I mean, they're an omnivore. They're eating vibrobites right now, but they'll eat lots of different stuff. Okay, let's look at another one because I don't want to just sit there forever waiting. These guys are going to be hard to see because they're so lively that they've stirred up the sand because I fed them and they got all excited. But this is Sicyopus lagocephalus, another great algae eater. And I'm just going to see if I'm far away and hold the camera out and stay kind of still, if we'll see some of their display behavior, which is really cool. Spread their fins out. Oh, this guy's doing it. Look at this guy. This bright red tail. Oh, I'm not getting that good. Yeah, it's too cloudy to get it in focus very well. There we go, I think. See if we can see this behavior and the color and stuff, because they're actually a really cool fish. Okay, it's worth just another minute waiting. Well, anyway, here we are. These guys. Sicyopus lagocephalus. Next to them is the birdsong goby. These were featured in Aquarius magazine a few years ago. It used to be Stiphodon birdsong, but now they have a scientific name. Suraphus is the species name. And they're a diminutive little goby. These guys top out at about 1 inch. They don't get very big. And when there's food out, they get very excited and they turn this red color, at least the more dominant ones do. Oh man, I hope this camera is getting this, is picking this up for you. See them displaying to each other. Anyway, that's that little guy. I think that the Stiphodon suraphus, I think that's going to do it for the gobies. So let's show you everything else. So here is an amazing rainbow fish. This is Melanotaenia frederici, which is cool enough, but also these come with a collection point. Cayenne, or Kian. They're about 1.75 inches. Maybe the biggest one is getting around 2 inches. So not a lot of color yet, as with all rainbow fish. All Melanotaenia anyway, the larger rainbow fish, they get their color later. But when they do, they're absolutely stunning. Down on the bottom here we have a neat gara. I think this is Goitola. This is the horned sunset gara. They are really good algae eater, fat and sassy, don't really hurt anything, just kind of hang out in a group. And they develop kind of horns on the face when they get bigger. You can kind of, we're really not going to see them right now. I can see the beginnings of something on their face, but it's not really impressive yet. Down here we have some loaches. Otia histrionica. Golden tiger loach is what these are called. Here they come, coming out. And then up above, this is a very special fish. This is a pseudomulgill, so a blue eye. This is the Paluticola. These are wild fish collected at Tamika. So let's see if we can see the lemon yellow on the male's fins. They get a nice kind of silvery shiny body with a lemon yellow fin. Hopefully some of that is coming through. It can be hard to pick up some of the stuff on camera, but hopefully. Anyway, one you don't see very often at all, so worth a look-see. Pseudomugil paluticola. Next up, we have Melanotania mahamensis, or mamahensis maybe is the way you say that. Yeah, let's go with that. Mamahensis. Just little guys right now, so again, not a lot of color yet, but we'll get there. As with most Melanotania, it takes some time, but then they get really, really stunning. These guys are about 1.25 inches, I would say. Below them, very excited to have these. These are Avatar angelfish. These are the blue Avatar, and they, if it comes up on camera, they're a nice kind of sky blue. A lot of blue iridescence on them. And what happens with these is, from what I understand, there's not a lot of information, but from what I understand is this black striping kind of fades with age, and they kind of get more like that guy with less striping on them. Or this one down here maybe is a good example. So that's my understanding. Now this is my first time with them, and I've never seen them growing up. So I'm just going off a couple things I read on the internet. But if you look on the internet, these are new enough that there's just not a lot of information at all. So nice blue tinge to all of them. My understanding is the black striping will fade, but I can't prove it because I haven't had them long enough to see it. But nice blue on them. Down here we have some, let's see if I can get you in good focus. Maybe. Here we go. Some samurai gouramis, one of my favorite gouramis of all time. And down below them are Aspidoris ramundi. Here you go, Aspidoris ramundi. They're a catfish that's a lot like a Corydoras, a little thinner, and quite a bit more active. Well, not more active, just faster, I guess. Speedier. Like a speedy Corydoras is how I would describe them. Here we have some Pseudomugil ivant sophi. These ones are still pretty little, so there's not going to be a lot of color yet, but these are a really, really nice fish. It's almost like Furcata and Luminatus had a baby, because you get kind of the yellowish that you get on a Furcata's fins, but some of the orangish that you would get on a Luminatus. Down below, oh, there's a couple. Sometimes these are hard to see, but these are Betta dimidiata. Looks like we have a male and female there, and a pleco. Male on the bottom with the elongated fins, female above him, and the pleco there. The rest of them are just hanging out in all this Java moss, so we won't be seeing them. Then, kind of everyone's favorite, Chilotharina alleni from the Wapoga collection. Just a really stunning fish. Perhaps, I don't know if you could say one rainbowfish is the most colorful, but these definitely vie for that. And they are certainly one of the most popular. Little guys at about 1.25 inches, so have a little growing to do, but you can already see the pattern coming in and a little bit of the color. Here are some Betta cochina. That's what their name looks like. Betta cochina. A nice wine red betta when they are colored up, kind of a burgundy wine colored. These horse face loaches, have kicked up the sand enough that the dominant ones hang out by this mop. They've claimed mop spaces, and so it's going to be hard, I think, to get a clear shot of them. But really, really pretty little burgundy wine colored blue-eyed betta. And then let's go over now this rack that we have. We'll start back here. So these are keyhole cichlids. One of my favorite little dwarf cichlids. Just not super aggressive, hardy, easy to keep, doesn't get too big. A couple rosy tetras in there. Down here is an awesome catfish. These are Brocus splendens, the emerald green cory. These guys are 1.5 inches. They're getting some good size on them. Of course, they went under this fake grass right here. Here we go. And let's see if we can get, now they're in the light, maybe we can get a little view. The camera's freaking them out. Yeah, it's really is freaking them out. They don't like that camera at all. Anyway, they're usually an outgoing kind of bold fish, but this camera's messing with their heads. These are some Celebes rainbows that I bred and raised up here. And then if we're lucky, oh yeah, in the very back, we're gonna see those gold lines, those kind of gold dots moving back there? That is a half-beak. A very, very pretty, very, very rare half-beak. The common name is gold spot half-beak. The scientific name is this, Hamphodon chrysopunctatus. Really special fish. Up here is Moanatania uchiensis from Uchi, is it Uchi Creek or Uchi River? I think it's Uchi Creek. Most of the fully colored ones have already been sold out of here, so we have the younger ones left. They're coloring up though, they get nice red striations along the body. Really, really pretty fish. Down here, long-nosed northern cories. So Corydoras septentrionalis, I believe, if memory serves, is the species name. Just a cute little cory, gets a nice green cheek on it. Something a little different if you're into cories and don't want the normal Aeneas or Paleotis or Sturbai or whatever. Below them, I don't know if they'll be out. We might get a look. These guys are the CPDs, Celestial Pearl Danios. Fairly subdued light in this tank. Let's see. Oops, wrong way. Can we move that? There, if I mess with the f-stop, maybe we can get a little bit of a view of them back there. Also, a couple sparkling gouramis. Okay. Next over. Oh man, they all just rushed. As soon as they saw me coming with the camera, they all just rushed. These are more of those botillas, loaches, golden zebra loaches, just another tank of those. Now this is very special. This is Pseudomugil reticulatus. I've never seen these in person before. These are super hard to get. I'm thrilled that we were able to bring a few in. Not a lot, but we got a few. And they're healthy, they're hardy, no losses or anything. I think they're already sold out though, for those of you that are wanting them. I'm sorry about that. But at least we get to see them a bit. So let me see if I can show you a nice male here. So there's the male with kind of the orange-yellow fins. In person it actually looks, well, it does look yellow-orange. I think it's coming across as a darker orange on camera than it is in person. And then the females are these ones, you know, without, like that, without the color on the fins. There you go, there's a female. So anyway, Pseudomugil reticulatus. Oh, I'm so happy to have them. And in here as well is a really, really cool little half-beak. These guys. These are one of the few half-beaks that lays eggs instead of delivering live young. They don't get big. They top out at maybe 1.25 inches. They have a brilliant blue sheen across the bottom of the body. They're electric. Just really, really pretty. Across the bottom of the body under that dark line. Little dwarf half-beak. And that is Tanga. Hamphodon tanga. For those wondering what that species is. Up here we have some Celebes rainbows, but these are special Celebes rainbows. These are wild collected, so if you need some fresh genetics in the farmed stock that we usually get, here's some wild blood you could add into that. Next we have the red-shouldered Severums, although these are small. I mean, we're talking, I don't know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches on the biggest one maybe. So they haven't developed their beautiful red coloring yet, but as adults these are stunning. And they're in there with some Pseudomugil signifers from Gap Creek. Those are the ones where the dorsal fin is nice and elongated, as opposed to the aquarium strain Pseudomugils. Below that, albino plecos, just albino bushy nose, in with some betta brownorum. If we can get a good look at those. Another kind of burgundy wine red betta with a nice kind of green spot on the body. So betta brownorum along with albino bushy nose plecos. Now this next tank is very special. Of course, they've kicked up all the sand, so let's see if we can see these guys. These are tiger barbs. Well, what's special about tiger barbs? Well, what's special about these tiger barbs is they're wild collected from a specific location point. So these are wild fish. They come from a specific location point, the name of which I forget. It's on the website. It starts with a K. And that's what's special about these. The problem with a lot of the tiger barbs in the industry, in the hobby, is they're not pure anymore. They've been mixed and matched with so many other species, and the genetics get very inbred in things, and they get pretty aggressive. These, the normal wild-caught tiger barbs, much less aggressive, active, and they can hold their own, but much less aggressive. And in there with them, you might have seen it in the back, are tiger loaches. Now, tiger loaches are not something you want to, let's see if we can get in there so you can see them, not something you want to put in with a timid fish, but they do great with things like these barbs and other fish that can hold their own. Really, really beautiful, I think, the tiger loaches. Anyway, let's move on to the next row. Oh, if I can stand up here. The older I get, the harder that gets. All right, up here. This is another neat rainbow fish. This is Melanitania species from Sungur. Doesn't have an actual species name yet, so we just use the collection code. There they are. They're pretty small, 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, and they're in there with some betta picta and a couple plecos, bushy-nosed plecos, but betta picta are the wild type betta you're seeing in there with them. Again, no color yet on those rainbows, but they will definitely get it. The next rainbow we're going to look at is another Chilothrina alleni, but this one is from Siriwo River, or Siriwo River. I'm not sure how to say it. Here they are. Little guys, so you know, not a lot of color yet, but you can see the potential. that's all they are when they're this size is potential. They're not going to be super pretty by any means. Over here are some Pseudomugil gertrudae. A neat little blue eye. Here is the copper swordtail. So this is a wild type swordtail. The common name is the copper swordtail. Along with a few Pseudomugil ivensophi. Up here, pea puffers. By the way, one of the reasons for this video is it's a what you see is what you get. So if you're thinking of ordering anything off dansfish.com, almost everything I'm showing you is currently available for sale. And this way you can see them. You can see what they look like, what their health is, what their size is. So showing you exactly what you'd be getting. Down here, one of my favorites, the chocolate gourami. I really like chocolate gouramis. I really like samurai gouramis. Along with this goby, Sicyopus zosterophorum, which is this guy. They get a nice color on the back half of them, these little gobies. Gray little benthic feeder, surface grazer, kind of like a Stiphodon. They'll eat algae really well. There's another one right there. Anyway, chocolate gouramis and those gobies, along with, if you can see up top there's some half-beaks. Not half-beaks, hatchetfish. Great little surface-dwelling fish. Came in super small, so these are little babies. I've raised them up a bit. They've about doubled in size since I've got them, so they're currently 1/2 inch or so. They came in tiny. But they're doing great. They eat anything off the surface, not picky at all. Below them, let's just show you this here. This is Betta edithae and the red spot goby. Now these gobies, here's one. These are a totally different genus. These are the Rhinogobius genus. This is Rubromaculatus, if I remember right. These red spot gobies. So these are not like an algae grazer or anything. These guys eat flakes and pellets. And they like to eat little live stuff, frozen foods. So they're a little predator, basically. Really neat little Rhinogobius fish. And with them are all these Betta edithae, which are already breeding. I've got a couple males under that mop there. I don't know if we can see them or not, that are spawning already. They're holding eggs. So they get a nice pearling on the fin. In the right light, it's not going to show up on camera. The color of these wild bettas never does, but they have all these spangles on the fins and down the sides of the body. They're actually not just dull brown fish like they look like. Probably. Here's another, that guy was just displaying. Oh man, did we miss it? Let's see if he'll do it again. Nah. This next one is another wild type mouth brooding betta. This is Betta anabantoides, quite a bit larger. These guys are 2.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, the small ones. Biggest one might be pushing 3 inches. Another big, kind of beautiful wild type betta. A lot of spangling. They call them the pearly betta, that's the common name. A lot of spangling on the tail and the fins, which unfortunately I'm confident that the camera won't pick up, just because that's the kind of thing the cameras do a poor job of picking up on. But these guys are super easy. All these wild type bettas, they'll eat flakes, they'll eat pellets, they'll eat frozen food, live food, algae, wafers, whatever. They're not picky. Really simple fish to keep. Keep a lid though, they're jumpers. Okay, I just scared all these with the camera. Shoot. But these are the orange Venezuelan cories. Literally, they were all out. They saw the camera and they all just went whoop, right under the filter. But bright orange fish. One of the prettiest, I would say, of the cories for sure. I don't know if I'm, hang on, let me see if I can get it light enough that we can see them. No, I'm not sure that's happening. Well, that one's still enough that we can maybe take a look. Anyway, I don't know how well the camera's picking it up. I had to mess with the f-stop and stuff to make it light enough to see them down around that filter. But a lot of bright orange on these guys. Really neat little cory. Okay, up here is the Phoenix Tetra. Very new to the hobby. A little pricey for a Tetra, but that's just because they're brand new. And, well, not brand new, but fairly new. A lot of nice extensions on the fins. Neat little fish. These haven't colored up fully yet. You can see the extensions, but they haven't got their full color in yet. They'll get more red in them. Now this is another species that kicks up the sand a lot. This is Corydoras ramundi. No, not Raymundi, that's the Aspidors. This is Raboudi. Sorry. This is Corydoras raboudi. One of the skunk cories. Neat little fish, beautiful, with that stripe against that cream body. I think they show, well, it's not color, but it's more contrast than your typical, like, Aeneas. And hardy, peaceful, eat really well, easy fish. Easy fish. Okay, this next tank over, this is pretty special. These are highway catfish, and I'm gonna drop a little food in there so we can see a feeding frenzy, because that's a ton of fun with these guys. So let's see if we can tempt them out. Here's one over here. There's a couple of them over there. They'll smell that food and they'll just come running. So here they are. I think it used to be Pseudobagris trilineatus, but I believe the correct scientific name these days, the genus is, I believe, Tachysurus. I could be saying that wrong, but really cool fish. You don't see them much, they're hard to find. They don't get too big, they stay around, you know, I'd say shy of 3 inches, and they're easy to feed. They don't really bother anybody. I mean, they'll display among themselves and get their dominance hierarchy set up, but they seem to be fine in social situations. And kind of a brown against a really pretty kind of gold color, and you see that striping on the body, the stripe above and below that dotted line. That's why they get the name highway catfish, because it looks like, you know, the striping on a highway. So that's where they get their names. More of them are coming out now. Anyway, highway catfish is only the second time I've ever been able to get them. Really, really distinctive, interesting, rare fish. Here's those Stiphodon rudolarius that we showed you to begin the video. There's just a bunch more of them out colored up now because they got excited about the food. So, oh, those are so pretty. Okay, so here is a goby that I forgot to show you before, Sicyopterus areofuscus. Pretty little guys. Oh, I'm gonna have to sit down to show you these. A lot of neat color on them. You know, another benthic feeder, kind of algae scraper, biofilm scraper. Whatever that weird German word for it is, Afwatch or whatever it is. But anyway, a lot of color on the fins on these guys. Oh, they're fun to watch, just how they play around. They're so active, so personable. There's a blue-bellied goby there too, you can see. Now, almost all these are going to be males. On the Stiphodons, the Sicyopterus, Sicyopus, those kinds of species, they kind of just send males because the males are the ones with the color. And you might say, hey, but then I can't breed them. But the truth is, you're probably not going to be breeding them anyway, because they have that life cycle where they spawn in fresh water, and then the little ones wash out to the ocean and are developed in salt water, and then later when they get a little bit developed, then they swim back to the fresh water. And that is a very hard life cycle to replicate in an aquarium, so breeding attempts with these almost always fail, unfortunately. So it's not so bad to get males. The males display amongst each other just fine. So you'll see lots of display, lots of color, even without females. Now that being said, I'm not an expert on sexing these types of gobies at all. There's one in here, like this one, that I think might be female. That one right there. But the rest, I believe, all pretty much look like males. All right. One more row to go, and then we'll go look at the other fish rooms. So this is just one of 2 fish rooms. It's a lot. Okay, we'll start with these. These are pretty special fish because they're very hard to find. I'm glad I was able to get some. I got them from a breeder here in the United States. So they're hobbyist bred and raised. These are Radinocentris ornatus from the collection point Carlin Creek. Now, they don't have a lot of color yet. They're not too big. And I suspect most of these are probably female. So, not seeing a lot of color. But you'll see a male or two swim by and start seeing a little color developing. But if you have males of these and you want females, I don't know for sure because they're not big enough for me to sex 100% reliably, but I think I've got a lot of females in here that I could hook you up with. And of course, some stir-by cories, which we're seeing there on the bottom, and a bushy-nosed pleco. Now these are cool. I say that with every fish, don't I? These are the threadfin acaras, but these are the albino version. And they're small, you know, 1.25 inches maybe. So we're not seeing a lot of color yet. But when these get adult size, they get some excellent finnage, some really neat orange and yellow color, some nice spangling. So a fish, I think, that is worth a gander for sure. Peaceful. Think of a geophagus. I mean, really, in my experience, really peaceful for a cichlid. Not a problem at all. Below them, we have Melanotania ogilbii, however you say that. Ogilbii. I don't know how to say Ogilby, but anyway, I think it's Ogilbii. Little guys, you know, around 1 inch in size, maybe 1.25 inches or so. So no color yet, but they'll get there, and they're really nice fish when they get bigger. So I can't show you the color, but I can show you kind of the size and the health of the animals. Now these are, well, there's some Madagascar rainbows in there, and then the other ones, these are the Bulgarian greens. They were sold to me as Bulgarian green red cheek. As you'll see though, some of them have more red cheek than others. Some of them are only red cheek on one side. So I'm not quite sure why the operculum isn't showing the red cheek on the other side, but so I guess they're half red cheek. I don't know. And then these darker ones, like this is what I expected, right? Like a light colored fish with the nice green iridescence, which is probably not going to show up on camera. and the red there. I don't honestly know what these darker ones. I mean, they have the iridescence and stuff, but that darker body color is not something I expected. So I don't know if that's like a seal point or what. I'm not an expert on all the fancy new angelfish or their genetics or anything. So not quite sure what those dark ones are. This is Melanitania Dumasai from Omba, and if I remember correctly, I'd have to look on the listing. It'll say on the website, but I believe this is one of the dwarf species that tops out at about 3 inches. Double check me on that, but I believe that's right. I believe that's right. Anyways, about 1.25 inches, so no color yet, as per usual. But healthy, happy, doing awesome. A little bit of color. Okay, there we go. I found one with a little bit of color. Let's zoom in on him. Can do without screwing up the f-stop here. Yeah, starting to get a little something going on, but just starting. Okay, here we have, well, let me show you. This is a wild type betta. This is betta rudolens. These are from tie-in, and they were sold to me as tie-in greens, but I didn't want to mislead anyone that doesn't know about bettas. See these? I'm not seeing a whole lot of green in there, so I left the green off, but there is some, like, let's see if I can show you. On the dorsal surface of this guy in the middle of the screen right now is a little bit, but I didn't feel comfortable selling these as tie-in greens because then you end up with these nice red fish. I mean, they're really pretty, little green eyes, really pretty fish, but I didn't want you to end up with a red fish and have expected a green one. But cool little betta, kind of like a cochina or a brown orum or a rudolens, small little red wild type betta, really cool. Next to them, one of my favorite wild type bettas, this is Betta fortii. And they're awesome. They're just one of the prettiest, one of the most outgoing, one of the hardiest, easiest wild type bettas I've ever kept. This is a dominant male. You can see he's kind of developing some of that blue-green color that you always see in the pictures. And that's kind of what they look like when they, whoops, where'd he go? There he goes. When they get that dominance going on. However, most of the time, that's really pretty. Come on, dude. Hang on. Let's see if I can get here and show it to you better. Anyways, I can't. But most of the time they look like this. Still really pretty, but more red and gold than blue and green. But they do color into that bluish, greenish fish that we all love because that's what all the pictures show. But that's not the normal coloring. Oh, there's a nice one back there. Look at that guy. That's the picture fish, right? But he's not going to stay that color. He'll turn that color when he's feeling all dominant and fired up. And then tomorrow, he'll look more like this fish right here. So, but there you go. That's the Betta fortii that everyone kind of wants, because that's what you see in the magazines right there. Nice bluish fish with the gold on the operculum. And then a bunch of blue neon gobies. Just an amazing Stiphodon species, really hardy, really pretty, always fun. Okay, this is Melanitania clausioensis from Clausio Creek, one of the most, I'm going to say, endangered or at risk, hardest to find of the rainbows, just because they come from such a small distribution. They come from one tiny section of a creek. So there's this underground river that for just a little bit pokes up above ground and then disappears back below ground. It's very limited habitat. In that little section of the river, the creek, I guess, where it does pop above onto the surface, that's where you find this fish. But it's such a limited habitat that any little disturbance could wipe out the entire species, because that's the only place it lives. Kind of like the devil's hole pupfish, I guess. But instead of a spring, it's the surfacing of an underground creek. Anyway, they don't have a lot of color yet, but this is a beautiful, beautiful orange fish. The other day there was a male that was starting to show his orange with some nice black contrast, but he's colored down now because he's done trying to attract a lady, I guess. There's a little bit, you can kind of see a little orange coming in on that guy right there that's in the center of the screen. but it doesn't do them justice. Beautiful orange fish when they get bigger. Okay, these are Glossolepis, that's what the G stands for. Doridii. Can I focus on? There you go. Kind of. Man, it does not want to focus on that at all, does it? Anyway, hopefully you could read that. No color yet, but they get to be an absolutely stunning red striped, big rainbow fish. This is Melanitania species from Kalimoisi. These are bred and raised by a hobbyist right here in the United States. Starting to get a little bit of color on them, nice orange color coming in, but they're small enough that there's not a lot of it yet, so just a few of them every now and then fire up. But it's not something I would expect. I would expect it in about 4 months with some good feeding to get some really good consistent color. Alright, down below them, these are Chilotherina fasciata from Clearwater Creek. Another one that gets absolutely stunning and will fire up and turn on its neon flare frequently as it gets bigger. They're just of a size that they're just starting to show a little bit of the color, like this guy. You can see it starting to come in on that guy by the filter there. They're a more elongated species, kind of pointy nose, these Chilotherina fasciata, than your typical, say, Melanitania. Next to them, we have a really pretty danio. These are Kythid danios. Nice orange fins on them. So think of a zebra danio, but classy. If a zebra danio dressed up to go out on the town, dressed up for the prom or a wedding, that's what these are. A lot of orange, a lot more color than your typical zebra danio on these guys. Above them, these are Rhamnocentris ornatus. These ones are from a different location. These are from Evans Head. And so there's a male there in the center of the screen. You can see his iridescence, kind of the light blue with the, if I get back far enough, with the orange coming in. Kind of dim lighting, so let's see if I can, does that help at all? Hopefully that helps. You see them? Pretty little fish. Most of them, though, I can't tell the sexes yet. Most of them are still too small. But healthy, eating well, doing good. Okay, this is a special rainbow fish. This is Melanitania. It's a species collected at a location called Wallace Road, so we don't know the species description yet, but we know the collection point. The nice thing about these guys is they stay small, so 2.5 to 3 inches, let's say. So these are not going to get very big. So you don't have to have a massive aquarium for them. It's hard to find Melanitania that don't get, 5, 6 inches or so. And it's nice when you can, because then you don't have to have such a big tank, or you can put more of them in a big tank. And they are with some Bulgarian green angelfish, not the red cheeks or anything, just standard Bulgarian greens, which as they grow are going to get a really neat greenish blue iridescence on the dorsal side, on the anal side, and across the face and kind of through the gills on the body. Kind of like, I guess you describe them as a seal point with some really neat iridescent blotching on the top, bottom, and front. I'm not showing a lot of it yet, but hopefully you're getting a glimpse of it. Golden Wonder Killifish, this is Aplochilus lineatus. They get big, they get 3-4 inches, great surface dweller. They are predatory, so they'll eat small fish if they can easily fit them in their mouths. But if they can't, then they do fine, with even some tetras and things, as long as they're not small little guys. Like they're in here with these. No problems at all. These are awesome. Absolutely stunning. I'm very happy with these. These are the smoky blue Pinoy angelfish. They are adult size, easily 2 inches across the body. Nice blue on them. Really happy with them. Good looking fish. Now for those that are about to ask, no, I cannot sex angelfish. No one can that I know of unless they actually spawn. So if they pair off and they spawn and the spawn ends up being fertile, then I'll know that there's a pair. Until that happens though, it's just a guess. And they will spawn, and the eggs aren't always fertile because sometimes two females will pair up and spawn. So the key is that they spawn and the spawn is actually fertile. But look at these guys. Look at that beautiful blue on them. Oh, they're awesome. Another very special rainbow fish. This is Melanitania species from Running River. There's a whole saga out there on the internet. You can read about these. They almost went extinct. Very, very close to going extinct due to the introduction of a different species that hybridized with them. Luckily, there was Peter Unmack over there in Australia that works for, what is it, the University of Cambria? I can't remember the name. But he and his university got together, tested a bunch of those fish, found a few that were not hybrids, that were still pure. They did DNA analysis and found some pure ones, and were able to spawn them up at the university and reintroduce them at another location on the creek that had not been contaminated by the hybridizing species. So really cool story behind these guys, and you can read all about it and the effort it took to save this species on the internet. Just Google Running River rainbow fish and you'll find a ton of stuff, I'm sure. We're almost done. These are neat little native fish. And there's a few little barbs in there, but the star of this tank is these guys. And these are Cyprinella, is it lutensis? I think is the species name. Anyway, the red shiner, or sometimes called the rainbow shiner. Get some really neat color in them. Nice reds on blues, nice iridescence, neat pattern across the face. Really hardy. One of the most hardy of the native minnows, or shiners if you want to call them that. Above them, more of the smoky blue panois, because they came in so darn big that I ended up giving them 2 tanks because I didn't want to crowd them. But just look at the blue on that guy. Oh, I just think they're so pretty. So happy with those. And then up here are some female Betta and Bellis, along with one male that's spoken for, but a few females, and then some Aplochilus blockii. Oh, that one just hid. Here's one. Don't go hide. I'm trying to show you 2 people. Nice little miniature surface dwelling killifish, similar to the Golden Wonder in behavior and stuff, but doesn't get nearly as big. Maybe tops out at about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. And that is all for up here. I think we might make 2 videos because this is really long. So yeah, so that's what we have upstairs in the fish annex. Now I'm going to go downstairs and either show you right now what's downstairs or make a separate video. I don't know quite yet, but something will happen. Let's go see. Well, I decided to just go for it and make one big video and get it done. So let's start with the tank behind me, because some of you might be new and not know what this tank is. This is a 125-gallon aquarium. It's what's behind me in my live streams. We do a live stream here at Dan's Fish every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 9 Eastern on YouTube. Dan's Fish channel on YouTube. Anyway, these are clouded archerfish. They're a true freshwater archerfish species. So if you like archerfish but don't want to have to keep a brackish water tank, this is one of the 2 freshwater species of archerfish. Toxotis blythii. Then down here, these are roseline barbs, but they're the gold morph of the roseline barb. It's a fairly new color morph. Still not super easy to find, still pretty expensive, but here's the normal color, the brown with the red stripe, and then here's the gold color, nice gold with the kind of orange-red stripe on them. Really pretty. Electric blue acara are here, and down here is Corydoras arcuatus, the skunk cory. Got a bunch of them in here. There's a couple over there too. One last red swordtail. Some Siamese algae eaters for algae control. This is a steel blue apistogramma. There's a few of them in here and they just spawn all the time, so every now and then some fry appear. And then what I can't show you here is the starlight plecos, just because they're hiding somewhere. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to show you those. But that's that tank. I like tanks that are fairly simple. Not a ton of different species, but a lot of a few species is what I think looks best. Down below them, let's start over here. This is a 100-gallon aquarium, and one of the features of this tank is these Corridors Weitzmani, which are really, really pretty, neat fish. For a long time, they were unavailable, could not be found. But then a few years ago, there's an article about this in Amazonas magazine. They found them again in the wild, and they proved hardy and easy to breed, so now they're available again. But I like the big bold spots on them. Not a cheap fish, but a really neat one. Some cherry shrimp in here. Basically, I'm growing them up for puffer food. Oh, there's more back there. And then there are some of these. Some plecos, the L471, the mini snowball plecos. They only get about 2 inches, maybe 2.5 inches. So a true miniature fish. And they're neat looking. I'm going to flip over this wood and hopefully we can take a look before they swim away. Let's see here. There's one right there. They get that nice spotting on them. And they stay small. Mini snowball plecos. Here's another one. Oh, it's too dark. There's a lot on there, but most of them are out of the light. So that guy will be our poster child for the day. We put them back. Got a couple other neat plecos to show you as we go around the room. I can't wait to show you the Sultan plecos. Those are so pretty. Down here, I gotta dry off my hand. Ugh. Down here are some Madaka rice fish. These are the Miyuki whites. Nice, brilliant white fish. They're not like your standard white fish, which are just white in color. These are bright, neon, glowing ones. Because if you look at them from above, you can see the entire dorsal surface. Let's see if we can get it. The entire dorsal surface is highly reflective. So they're not just white, they're like glowing white, or reflective white, I should say. Here we have a Boesemani. These are the ones from Atinjo. High in demand, really cool, beautiful Boesemani. They're in there with some normally colored rose line sharks, not the gold ones, but the normal ones, or Denison barb, or whatever you want to call them. I do need to confess something. So the Atinjo and the Aves Creek or Aves Creek locations of the Boesemani, they're fairly new to the hobby. We've only known about them for a couple years or so, and or only had them. And so everyone was saying for that whole time that they were a miniature fish, that they didn't get more than around 3 inches or so. So I've sold them as that, as has everyone else pretty much that I know that does rainbow fish. Well, it turns out that might not be true. Just got word a few days ago, maybe it was a couple weeks ago, was geeking out with some folks about rainbow fish in a Facebook group called Rainbowfish Live, which you should check out if you like rainbow fish. And it turns out some people have had them long enough that they're getting more than 3 inches. That they're actually getting up to about 5 inches. It's just that no one knew that before because they were new to the hobby and they were all small. It turns out they do get bigger. It just takes forever for them to grow that big. So the Atinjo and the Aves Creek, or Aves Creek, which I'll show you a little later, are not actually dwarf species like we thought and like we've been telling you guys, and we're sorry for the error. Turns out they're a regular sized Boesemani species that just grows very slowly. So, all right. And again, that's hot off the press. Just learned that. These are the Lemay rice fish. You can see the whites in there, and you can see some with some gold on them. And then also in here is Melanotania Herbert axelrodi, just a few left. Turn into an absolutely stunning, beautiful, bright yellow rainbow fish. Down here, these are mostly peacock gudgeons. However, I've only had them for about a week. Oh, looks like one didn't make it. I've only had them for about a week, so not for sale yet. And then in here as well, I have Tatia intermedius, which you're gonna be able to see a face in that pipe right there. but not the fish. They're the Galaxy woodcat, really neat catfish. Oh, here's one. Can I show it to you? In that pipe. They're in their pipes. And then some of these are betta falx, which is a neat wild type betta. There's a good shot of a couple of them. Above that, oh, we already did that. Here we go. These are cool. So these are the Pozo half-beaks. They are almost black, like a really, really dark colored half-beak. Get about 2 to 3 inches. But the males are that nice dark color. The non-dominant males and females stay more of a brown. And they are in there with a bunch of spotted headstanders. These guys. Sorry that tank's so cloudy, it's kind of a green water tank. Some lemon tetras, some rosy tetras, and a few Melanitania parva. Here's a decent male. Getting some color on him. Parva are one of the prettier, I think, of the rainbow fish. Just really nice fish. Below that, we have another rainbow fish. These are Melanitania sequensis. They call them the orange sim, is kind of the common name, but common names confuse people. So let's go with Melanitania sequensis. Getting some nice color on these, starting to come into their real color. They aren't fired up right now, and they're just kind of starting to get it, but you can see the potential in that guy there. There he is. Melanitania sequensis, and you might see one random Bosemani in here. It's just an aquarium strain Bosemani fish that's left over from a previous batch that was in here. So don't worry, I know. Now here is the other one that we thought was a dwarf Bosemani. This is Melanitania Bosemani from Aves Creek or Ava's Creek. It's a really pretty fish, but it turns out eventually we'll get a good 5 inches or so. And they're in there with some more avatar angels. These are the zebra avatar angelfish. So we saw the more patternless blue ones upstairs. These are the zebra avatars, which will retain the black striping and coloration and have the avatar in there as well. Now, this is such a new strain to me that I don't know much about them, but they're new, they're rare, and they're supposed to turn out to be really pretty when they're bigger. Right now, we're talking about an inch, inch and a quarter in size, maybe inch and a half on the bigger ones. Over here, we have a few African butterfly cichlids and then a whole bunch of orange lemon tetras. Different fish than the standard lemon tetra. These were discovered in Bolivia fairly recently. You can read about it in Amazonas magazine. And they have a dark orange color instead of that kind of light lemon color on them. So neat fish. Let's see if I can really get in there on one of them. It looks better from zoomed out, I think. Anyway, hardy, super hardy, doing as easy to keep as a standard lemon tetra. Just a lot more color as far as that orange goes. Now down here, this is a green water tank, so these guys might be harder to see, but these are some really good quality longfin rosy barbs. You can see the extent of the finnage. You can see how well that rosy color contrasts with the black on the fins on most of them. Look at this guy, holy cow down there. Anyway, I'm proud of this group. I think they look like longfin rosy tetras, rosy barbs should look, instead of some of the trash that we see. Yeah, true long fins, nice contrast on the black on most of them, and good body shape. So I like those a lot. Okay, turning around, here are, well, look at you right there just showing off for me. This is Aphyosemion australi. This is the chocolate form, or the normal wild coloration. Brown with some orange and white and red spots on the body. And then if we can find it, there's a female orange right there. Let's see, here's another male. He's in better lighting so we can see him a little better. And somewhere in here I still have, oh, there he is. Up here is the a male with the orange color on him. So that's a color form developed in aquariums. The brown replaced with that nice orange color. Oh, this one's looking good. Look at that guy. He's showing off. I really like Australes. Easy fish. Just keep a lid with all your killifish. They will jump. This is more of the Melanitania parva. These ones are a little bit younger, so they don't have as much color as that male I showed you a few aquariums ago, but they'll get it. They're pretty fish. Really healthy, doing great, so it's just a matter of time before they color up on you. These are the L173B, the Hypensistrus, sometimes called the false zebra pleco, and if I get real lucky, I'll be able to show you one down there. See if I can lighten the f-stop and really get in there. Not really. Well, you can see a few tails. Come on, guys. Well, hopefully you got something out of that. There we go. And there's also a couple Fundulopanchax gardneri in there, which my favorite killifish, just absolutely stunning. But right now, oh, here's one. That's why I like them. Look at that. Such a pretty fish. Okay, below there, we have just a few of these left. These are Melanitania centeniensis. The rainbow fish in there. I'm sorry, Melanitania, how dare I. Chilotharina centeniensis, these guys. If I can get a clear shot of that. They come from Lake Santani, and they are extremely endangered as well. When they're mature, they get a bright red on the lower back half of the body and are really, really cool. But they need our help with conservation. Their natural habitat has been absolutely decimated, and there's a lot of competing species that have been introduced, and so these guys have a limited shelf life in the wild. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but it doesn't look good from what I'm reading about Lake Santani. Another green water tank. Sorry about that. These are Glossolepis. These are the Wanamensis. And then there are some humpback limias in there as well. The tank's so green, though, that we won't spend a lot of time here just because it's hard to film. Now, I don't mind green water. I know a lot of folks are like, oh, that's gross, but it might not look good, but green water is super healthy for fish. When you have all that free-swimming, free-floating algae in the tank, it immediately, like, that algae just immediately utilizes all the nutrients in the tank. So any fish poop, any ammonia, any nitrite, stuff like that, that algae scrubs that out. And even though the water kind of doesn't look great, it's like super good for the fish. So when I get a green water tank, I don't usually do a lot to fight it. I kind of let it run its course, and I just consider it like, if the green water lasts 2 weeks, I consider it like a 2-week trip to the spa for the fish. It's kind of how I look at it. All right. These are more of the electric blue acara. We saw some of these in the 125-gallon show tank. By the way, the fish in the 125-gallon tank are not for sale. That's my show tank. But these ones are. They're a little smaller, but still very pretty. Okay, a couple more rows to go and then we'll be done. These are the Wapoga red laser rainbow fish. That's Melanitania rubrostriata, and the blueberry tetra. No, rubrovittata, sorry. Rubrovittata is the scientific name of these. They look like a dwarf neon rainbow fish, but with red striping on the body. And then these blueberry tetras are a fairly new species of tetra. Haven't developed their full color yet. They're still fairly small, but you can read in Amazonas magazine to kind of get the story behind these guys. Fairly new, kind of neat looking. So brought some in. These are one of the absolute favorites. These are Chilotharina blairi. One of the prettiest, hands down, of the rainbow fish. These are pretty small. They need to get bigger before they really color up, but you can see this guy's already got quite a bit of color. And this mop is absolutely full of eggs. I'm going to remove that and put that in a scud tank to hatch a bunch of babies. And there are some females in here. So the last two batches I've had only males. And I'm not 100% at sexing them at this size, to be honest. But if you want some females, I would say I could pick out females with about 75% accuracy. So there's still a little bit of risk. I can't guarantee it. But there are definitely some females in there because this mop, full of eggs. Oh, and some Santa Maria Endlers, that strain I developed once upon a time. Oh, and some Pandagara. For those that like Pandagara, still have some. They're amazing, great little fish. My favorite of the Gara, just because of their neat color. They don't get too big, and they're a great surface algae eater. Okay, this next one, this is Melanitania laticlava, and the blue ribbon tetra, another new tetra. When I see something new, I just, have to kind of get it. These guys don't have a lot of color yet, these laticlava, but you rainbow fish geeks, you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll know what they are. That one's starting to get some color. Look at that guy in the middle of the screen. All right, down here. Oh, and there are some of these, I guess I should say. I've got this population of Epiplates killifish collected from Ikayo in Nigeria. Don't know the exact species, just know they were collected from Ikayo, and this population just keeps kind of sustaining itself. Had them in there for several years now, I guess 2-3 years. These are the Amapa redback angelfish, so wild type angelfish, and the Melanitania from Fletcher Creek. So there's the angelfish. They don't have it yet, but they do get quite a bit of red up on the dorsal surface, kind of from the face up into the dorsal fin, that area. And then I'm hoping that I can get a good look at these Fletcher Creek rainbows, because they're starting to get some really neat color on them. When I showed them before, they were still small, but I've had them for a little while, so we're starting to get some neat color. So hopefully that's coming in. It's a nice kind of green spangling with some striping and some orange. It's just not the kind of color that pops on camera, but in person I think they're very, very handsome. Anyway, hopefully some of that came through. These are rainbow shiners. Notropis chromosus, if I remember right. They're little, so they're not going to have the color yet, but just Google rainbow shiner. These are really, really pretty fish once they get a little size in them. But the good thing is, this batch seems really healthy. The batch before I had problems with, but I think this batch is doing great. Up here, Melanitania, I'm trying to focus on that name so you can see it. Dubolei, these are from Oyster Creek. This is another one that I hope I can get a good, it's so hard on video. The light's not great and they're moving a lot, but a good idea of the color and the striping and stuff of these guys. A lot of green on them. I would call them a green fish almost. Neat spangly, neat striping. I mean, it doesn't help that my light is like a LED shop light, like the thing you get at Walmart or something. With some real lighting, these guys would really pop, I think. But anyway, Siamese algae eaters in there with them. These are Melanitania nigrans. I believe this was the first rainbow fish species ever described, one of the originals. Starting to get a little color on them. And they're in there with some Siamese algae eaters as well. Let's see if I can get like a shot of a nice dominant male. Well, there's, no, see in the black. Well, if I just move the camera around, then they'll look even worse. Gotta keep it still. Anyway, hopefully they're swimming in. This is kind of like the retirement home for Cories after I bred them and stuff. So some just really large, really old Corydoras. But there's also some of these. The L264 Pleco, the Sultan Pleco. I can't wait to show you these. I think these are awesome. Okay, I can't see the pleco and the screen at the same time, so hopefully this works. There you go. Check those guys out. Sultan plecos. I just love them. The white tips on the fins, the gray body with the black spots on them. They're all inside this log here. A whole bunch of them. Found a nice hollow log, so they love it. They're doing fantastic. My first time with that fish, so I don't know a ton about it. Oh, my hand's all wet now. One more row. We are almost done. Okay, these are the black rams. Now, they're little. Those pictures you see of that like pure black fish with all the bright kind of contrasting color on them, but it's pretty much a base black color, those are dominant males in courting color or territorial behavior. They don't all look like that all the time. Mostly they look like this, until they fire up to spawn or defend their territory or assert their dominance. So I know the pictures you're all drooling over, and these are cool looking rams, but just don't expect them to look like those magazine pictures all the time. They'll do it enough that you'll still love them, but they aren't like that all the time. And these guys are still pretty small, but I think they're cool looking. You can see though, if you know rams, you can see the difference, like how much black is on there, how lessened the blue is, all that stuff. Okay, down here, I don't know if these guys will show up well on camera, but I really like them. We'll take the lid off, that might let a little more light in. So this is a retirement home for, I got a batch of these turquoise rainbows in, and I never sold them just because they don't look right to me. They're super healthy and stuff, but whoever bred them didn't do a great job on the genetics, I don't think, because they look slightly malformed to me. So that's a retirement home for them, but up here are the super red Carey tetras. So this is an emperor tetra, the Carey tetra, but it's a new color, more fairly new, that's a nice blue color. Now, it's probably just coming through as black, I know, because my lighting's dim, and because they're young enough, they haven't developed all their blue color yet. But they're gonna be a really nice blue. They're called super blue Carey tetras. These need no explanation. This is a tank full of the healthiest cardinal tetras you'll ever see. I have a great supply for these. They come in rock solid. People that generally have trouble getting healthy cardinal tetras have tried again and again, get this strain and end up having luck. So if you're in that group and you've kind of given up, try it one more time. Give these a whirl. I think they'll do well for you. Now, cardinal tetras don't like ammonia or nitrite, and they like mature tanks, and they don't like it too cold. You know, upper 70s is about as cold as I would go with them. But providing all that is provided for, the rest is on the supply side. There are some suppliers that just their stuff comes in and it never lives, and then there's some good suppliers that their stuff is rock solid. So I think it's a supply side thing as long as the basic conditions are met. On the aquarist side. All right, albino crebensis. Just because I love crebensis, and I thought the albinos would be cool for people. So good mix in there, super hardy, just as easy to keep as the classic crebensis. One of the hardiest, easiest, most beautiful cichlids out there. Oh, look, there's a female. See that red belly on her? Hey, you. See how her fins are not as long and there's not as much color in her tail? She's got a red belly. And then this right here, either of those would be a male. Elongated dorsal fin, that kind of more color in the tail. Anyway, in one lone Scleromastix barbatus, bearded Cory. Okay, this tank, we're almost done, but there are some cool stuff in here. The first thing in here that's super cool are these. These are the red fin, I just scared them. The red fin bala sharks. Now, they're not actually a bala shark. They're a completely different genus. I'm just gonna sit down. Okay. They're a completely different genus. So it's confusing, these common names. They're a lot calmer than your typical bala shark. They don't have that active energy where they'll dash around the tank and damage themselves because they run into the glass. And they stay smaller. They top out at about 7 inches. So if you like bala sharks, these not only have more color and they don't get as big, but they're also a better aquarium fish just because of their calm demeanor. So I really like these guys. I think they're awesome. In here as well are these dragons. These are Glossolepis multisquamata. These are from the Membramo River. And there's one Moanatania calidiri in here that I'll show you too. But look at these. These are the true multisquamata. You can tell that because look how long that anal fin is. See how it reaches down into the tail? The hybrids don't do that. The hybrids have kind of muted length, I suppose it's how you would describe it, on the tail fin, on the anal fin. So anyway, true red dragons. These are big, 3-4 inches, and there's a female right there above him. So I'm selling these as a trio because one of these males, even though he's pretty and doing pretty good, it took him forever, this guy, to recover from shipping. And he looks good now, but I'm afraid that if you went through the stress of shipping, that that you would have trouble with him too. So I'm not going to sell him. I'm going to sell the one that came in nice and healthy along with the 2 females. So I wanted to sell as 2 pairs, but I don't want to risk sending that guy. And then this is the calidiri, Moanatania species calidiri. Hopefully that all came on camera. I was kind of distracted watching how beautiful that multisquamata male was. I wasn't looking at the camera as carefully as I should. Another rainbow fish. This is Moanatania affinis from Danasari River. If you can check them out, they are starting to get some decent color on them. Let's see if I can get in on this. Oh, they're a little active. The moment I get them in, they swim out. That's just how rainbow fish are. And you can see the color coming in, so I'm going to zoom out just so you can kind of see the group. Anyway, red lizard whiptail catfish. Doing fantastic. This batch is rock solid. These guys top out at 3 to 4 inches. Right now they're at about 1 inch, 1.25 inches. But really awesome little catfish. Very peaceful. Eats really well on anything that falls to the bottom. Algae wafers, vibrobites, rapaceae.